I gotta say, it's one of the rare things, especially doing this show, is to have well, I get people send me stuff a lot of time to read, but having been able to read something from someone and then grow into a great friendship, and then still be able, that being able to incorporate that friendship into the way I read what they send me makes it much more personal, is probably what I'm trying to get at. So there is kind of like I feel like a personal bond, there when I'm reading this book. It's a very great book. All right. Question number 8. Hold on. What was writing Danforth's backstory like? He definitely has history, almost like he has more to gain or lose than others in a way. Redemption and karma, knowing how he goes out in the end, and the profound way it impacts Rambo in First Blood. The way Danforth's haunted by Billy's explosive demise, and how Rambo's affected by Danforth's explosive demise. There's kind of a foreshadowing there. And here we go. Wallace writes, to answer this question, Danforth's... Sorry, I'll restart that. Well, Danforth's story comes from, I don't know, it's some of those short tales that popped up in my mind all of a sudden. In some ways, it's a classical one, just like you said, a redemption and karma story. I liked very much writing it. The ideas you have while you are already writing someone else are always better than those you have in cold blood, so to say. Writing is the best way to have ideas. Regarding the name and the fact that we both imagine Danforth as a bearded man, maybe Danforth's surname makes people think that he has a beard. Who knows? Oh, okay. Well, I read that Danforth had a beard. When he was this, I threw that in just because. And the point I'm trying to make there is that in Blood, I'm going to be playing Danforth, so I'm going to eventually, the scene, my scenes, my Danforth scenes are going to be bearded like I am in day-to-day life. I have, beard, chin strap, and mustache, right? So, my Danforth scenes will be bearded and, mustache. Also, it will give me the great advantage of just making the scene a little bit more gross, and makeup, to add makeup to. It will be easier for the makeup application, and because I'm gonna look pretty bad. There's a scene in there where Rambo's in the hole, the hole that they keep him in this hole, and so Rambo's in the hole and he starts hallucinating because he goes a little crazy and he's hallucinating, and Danforth comes out of the ground, which is me. Danforth comes out of the ground and his guts are like just coming out of him, spilling out all over. Rambo's freaking out, and my character's all like, I want to go home, Jay, I want to go home, I want to drive my Chevy, like all that, and we get that, I can't find your legs and everything. So I'm going to be in that bottom of that hole with a fake, body cavity thing with, sheep intestines and fucking meat and shit coming out of me. And that's what I was getting to, is that my character of Danforth, I wrote him the way I kind of look like. And the other characters I'm going to be playing, you probably won't notice, but I'm going to get killed a couple other times from Rambo. I'll be shaven, and my hair will be cut for those scenes. But I'll have like the long hair and the beard for the Danforth part, so I'll probably film that first. Here we go. Question number 9. Sorry. Troutman at times feels very spirited and carefree, sometimes almost being the black sheep of teachers, considerably crazy. We know it's because he's out of the box tactically. New wars mean new methods, right? Was it hard to bring in this approach while still staying crucial to how Troutman remains fresh every time? I mean, when you think he's going to zig, he zags. Was it hard coming up with the different ways he would do it? Because he's under pressure, scrutiny, and surveillance a lot. His fellow brethren give him a very hard time and demand explanations constantly. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Wallace writes, well, in my novel, sometimes we see Troutman from behind the trainee's eyes, and sometimes we see him with his own. So sometimes he looks in some way, and sometimes he's in the other one, or he's looking the other way. The soon-to-become Baker team is usually scared by Samuel the Beast Troutman. He does everything he can do to scare them and look like an emotionless machine. On the other side, he is a very good man. We know that from the movies. And he is struggling to do the right thing in a world ruled by wrong. Garner will soon become one of his best friends, but he is not as wise as Troutman, and he is there to check the colonel. So even if he likes Troutman, his job is to put him under pressure, and he does. This creates a very interesting dynamic between the two. I have to admit, there is some dynamic there, and there is some things there that make you wonder how it's going to play out for everybody involved. There are scenes in there where I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Garner is going to turn around and be the bad guy. And there's scenes in there where I am convinced that Troutman has lost it. And what Wallace does so great here is he really kind of puts you in a place where you don't know what's going to happen next. Like, you think you know what's going to happen, and then he turns around and he takes you out of it, and then you don't know what's going to happen. So for that formality, Wallace is very, very spot on with this incredible tactic for his storytelling. Number 10. I like how you bring the space race into the fold. What was the inspiration for that? Since we never seen that in a Rambo movie or film, maybe the animated series, but my memory's a bit foggy. Sorry. Wallace writes, professionals do a lot of searches before writing historical novels, as I did too. Those who want to join the Special Forces are usual ultra competitive guys that want to be the best in everything they can be. The space race was the most discussed topic during the 60s, and it fit the character very well. Yes, and like you say here, it was a very competitive thing back in the day. It was all a big rush. But it's very cool that Wallace writes in the space race. I'm wondering if any any other down the line in the sequels, if he'll come back to touch upon any of the other space race. I'm just curious to see if any of that will, NASA or whatever, will come back into the fold later on. I'm very curious to see. Alright. Question number 11. Did you enjoy coming up with new ways to torture the Baker team trainees? Wallace writes, laughing, enjoying is not the right word. I had to torture them, so I did. I had to feel the way they felt under torture, so I felt it. The reader really enjoys it, but me writing it, not so exactly. It surely was not as painful as writing Delmore's prologue or Ortega's Nightmare, but it was not a pleasure either. I would say that it was exhausting. Yes, the correct word, exhausting. In the end, when the Baker team is finally born, it was exhausting too. Yeah, I can totally dig where you're saying that it was exhausting. The tortures that you must put yourself, constantly thinking, almost resetting your mind in a way to kind of like fathom the unfathomable because you haven't experienced it. But to kind of go that one step beyond, almost semi-autistic, to find, to find the balance that in your mind you would believe is the best to set you up for that stage of writing. So that's a very, 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 very cool answer. Let's see here. Now we're going to go on to question 12. Sorry. Coletta's Jungle Fever was a great segment that showed a form of family bonding beginning to happen. Is it just me, or was that what you planned while writing it? Wallace writes, I don't remember if I planned it, but I can say that that's exactly what happens to anyone facing the same troubles. People become friends. Someone said that those, you risked those who you risked your life with, those are not friends. They are brothers. The Baker team guys become friends during the selection and training, and in Vietnam they will become brothers. There is, and touching on that question, there is a big essence there of what will be bonded and not. And in a movie you would probably kind of see that in a montage, a very quick montage or whatever. But in this book, it's laid out over the course of the book, so you get a very rich character development there and a great family type of bonding here. So I think this is one of the coolest aspects of the book, because we all know that no one's walking out of this alive except for Rambo, right? So I love how the book kind of just makes Rambo a touchstone, and the rest of the book is setting up all these people who you're eventually going to fall in love with, and nothing lasts forever, so eventually you're going to have to part with these characters in probably the most nightmarish ways ever conceived to man. If Wallace's intro to the book is any indication of a teaser of things to come, so to speak.